Corypheus is a figure out of Tevinter history. He was a magister.
Yes, but that was a different time. The Imperium's power was at its peak then. The Civil War had ended. The Magisterium was united, its armies scooping up bits of Thedas like candy. The Magisters who entered the Black City. It was a demonstration of how exceptional Tevinter had become.
But who were they?
No one knows. There's no record of a Magister named Corypheus. All this happened 1400 years ago, before the Blight nearly wiped us out. There are no records. Today, people half believe it's all just a story. That's what I believed.
We have evidence the story is very much real.
But not who Corypheus is. If he even remembers. There used to be families who claimed some of those Magisters as their own. That stopped when the Chantry appeared. Then it was shameful, and the families distanced themselves from the tale. All we know is that some men and women entered the Black City looking for the old gods. What did they find? According to Corypheus, nothing. And only he could tell us more.
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy crown? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
Yeah.
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're Later, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soparati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy.
Soparati. I have to remember that for the next Dragon Age.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave.
Mage slave.
The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Again, like I said, like this whole conversation, I believe, is a conversation you can have while you're still in Haven, and it's just there's just a lot more of Dorian that you can talk to him about pre Skyhold versus Cole, as I mentioned before.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
This is really interesting for someone who loves learning about religion. This is fascinating stuff for Elle.
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium.
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
That's true. I feel the same.
Aye, someone's full of themselves, aren't they?
I was just agreeing with you.
Don't agree on my account. A little doubt wouldn't harm the Herald of Andraste.
Fair enough,
Me?
Dorian.
I've seen too much
Fair
to
enough.
know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
I love that the game did that. That it doesn't mean if you agree with someone, it doesn't mean they always approve of you agreeing with them, which is pretty cool. I'm glad the game did that.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what? 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Never.
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along.
Yeah, surprise.
Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
You think slaves like it that way? Don't be ridiculous.
I didn't say they like it. It's all most of them know. In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Is that what you call it? Treated poorly?
Abuse heaped upon those without power isn't limited to Tevinter, my friend. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
This is really interesting. It seems like there is a little bit of friction between Elle and Dorian, and I kind of like that since my other two visitors seem to get along with Dorian just fine. I mean, Art especially. So I love Dorian's
That's all I
character, and of
wanted to
course I
know.
want to be friends with him, but
I should go.
it's just really
As you
neat
wish.
when, you know, you can kind of sense
The
a
Inquisitor's work is never done, I see.
sense of,
should go.
we have to work on a
As you
relationship
wish.
a little bit. So. It's not as fulfilling if right out of the box you're already, you know, best buds. Total BFFs immediately.
I'm sorry.
So am I.
Hey, Cullen. Cullen, where are you going? Oh.
The names of those we lost. You must blame me for this.
Now that you mention it.
We all saw who attacked us. We know exactly who to blame.
I keep wondering if I could have done something different. When the first of my lookouts went missing, I pulled the rest back, awaiting more information. If they'd stayed in the field, they could have bought us more time. I was afraid to lose my agents. And instead, we lost Haven.
Well, Leliana...
You look out for your people. That's a good thing.
Is it? My people know their duty. They know the risks. They understand that the Inquisition may call upon them to give their lives.
Our people aren't tools to be used and discarded. Your instincts were right. Their lives matter.
Can we afford such sentimentality? What if Corypheus...
Yeah, we can.
We're better than Corypheus.
It worked the other 2 times, Leliana.
Our agents have encountered more followers of Corypheus, the so-called Venatori. Their leader, Calpurnia, has them searching Elven ruins. For what, I do not know.
Elven ruins?
I propose we stop the Venatori before they find what they seek.
Do you know anything about Calpurnia?
Only that Calpurnia is a name from ancient Tevinter legend. An unusual one. She was a priestess of Dumat, foster mother to the founder of the Imperium. A name like that is meant to assure the Venatori they follow in the footsteps of legends. We must prove them wrong.
I'm pleased to see my spy master is on top of the matter.
I try. These Venatori have been shadowing a merchant called Vicinius on Calpurnia's orders. They've investigated his finances, surveyed his warehouses.
Suspicious.
I propose that you meet with Vicinius. Flatter him. Find out what he knows of Calpurnia.
Alright, I can be pretty charming about that.
Vicinius sounds like a Tevinter name.
Born in Tallow, although he claims to be from Virantium. He sells rare oils and amber, and prefers red wine to white.
What side of the bed does he sleep on?
He's unremarkable. I cannot think why Calpurnia would care.
What if Vicinius is as much in the dark as we are?
It never hurts to eliminate an avenue of inquiry. And we should tread lightly with the Venatori. They have contacts and spies, just as we do. The sooner you speak with Vicinius, the better.
We need him to open up about these bloodthirsty cultists. I'll bring wine.
Vicinius could be a useful ally. Merchants travel, and they love gossip as much as coin. I'll make arrangements for you to visit his summer home in Val Royeaux.
Thank you, Leliana.
Hopefully, your attention should be enough to pique his interest. We'll have Calpurnia's secrets yet.
Thank you.
It seems Blackwall knows nothing about the disappearance of the Grey Wardens. It's a disappointment. I am, however, glad that he is with us. Even if he was not what I expected.
Yeah.
He seems to be a good man, and his experience will be an asset to the...
Notice that Leliana said that.
As for the other Wardens, I suppose we will have to keep looking.
Because if you're paying attention to one of the codexes about Blackwall, you can kind of gather after the fact that Leliana knew all along what his true identity was.
The Divine's death hit you hard. How have you been feeling?
Oh, you are referring to my outburst in the Haven. I am much better now. Justinia was such a dear friend, and there were so many things going wrong.
Sometimes it's best to talk these things out.
I was there when the hero of Ferelden defeated the Archdemon. We won the day, and I thought the Makers smiled on me. When the Divine requested my help, I went to her. I owed her that much. I sacrificed so much to do the Maker's work. But now, Justinia is dead. I was angry. I felt betrayed. But I shouldn't have let my emotions get the better of me. I'm sorry.
And like I said, if it wasn't for you, Leliana, she probably would have been dead a long time ago. Everybody dies eventually, Leliana, so you have to think, you can't think about it as, I was betrayed because she ended up dying. Everybody's going to die eventually. And it could very well be that you might have saved her life numerous occasions because of what you did.
Don't apologize. You were grieving and upset. I understand.
Thank you. Now, enough of this. Let us think more pleasant thoughts.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
I think I already did this.
That they did. What of it?
We'll talk more later.
The Templars will be an asset to this Inquisition. It's a shame we couldn't also get the mages on our side.
Yeah, the game wouldn't let
I'll
us.
leave you to your work.
We're not allowed. Sorry, Leliana, we're not. We can't have both. Such is the nature of pretty much all Bioware games.
Sister Leliana will want access to the birds. Look at this place. It's a bloody palace, it is. Fit for a king, eh?
There's Cullen. I'll talk to him in a little bit. So many people everywhere.
So, this is Skyhold.
Yep, that is.
Come, let's walk the ramparts. I want to examine our fortifications. We'll be able to see Corypheus coming from miles away.
Corypheus thinks we're beaten. By the time he finds us, we'll be Legion.
I know soldiers. I know our soldiers. Corypheus made 100 enemies when he kicked down our door. And when he came after you, he really made it personal. I swear I'll take that twisted bastard down, even if I have to die to do it.
Now that we're at Skyhold, I kind of want to... I'm afraid of getting locked into a Blackwall relationship, and Elle, her heart belongs to Cullen, so I'm just gonna say you're taking this hard. Or I'll say thank you.
I'm grateful for your support.
It's my job, isn't it? Killing Darkspawn. Look, in spite of it all, there is hope. The people flock to your banner. They believe in you. Tell me honestly, are you what they say you are? Andraste's chosen?
I mean, Elle believes so.
I was chosen by Andraste. She saved me. We shouldn't question it.
I don't. We all need to believe in something.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Blackwall. Okay.
The order was sent.
Yes, Commander.
Send men to scout the area. We need to know what's out there.
Yes, sir.
Commander, soldiers have been assigned temporary quarters.
Very good. I'll need an update on the armory as well. Now!
I don't think I ever noticed that scratching before. Hey there!
We set up as best we could at Haven, but could never prepare for an archdemon, or whatever it was. With some warning, we might have...
We were all shaken by what happened.
If Corypheus strikes again, we may not be able to withdraw. And I wouldn't want to. We must be ready. Work on Skyhold is underway. Guard rotations established. We should have everything on course within the week. We will not run from here, Inquisitor.
Don't run from me either, Cullen.
How many were lost?
Most of our people made it to Skyhold. It could have been worse. Morale was low, but it's improved greatly since you accepted the role of Inquisitor.
Oh.
Everyone has so much faith in my leadership. I hope I'm ready.
You won't have to carry the Inquisition alone, although it must feel like it.
You'll help me, I'm
We
sure.
needed a leader, and you have proven yourself.
Thank you, Cullen.
That was a flirt. Thank you, Cullen.
Our escape from Haven. It was close. I'm relieved that so many made it out.
Okay, that's adorable.
As am I.
Oh, I love this. Oh, I'm loving
You
this.
stayed behind. You could have... I will not allow the events at Haven to happen again. You have my word.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, the reaction between... If you can tell the difference between my reactions to flirting with Solus and flirting with Blackwall versus flirting with Cullen, there's definitely a big difference between the two. Oh gosh, that was beautiful. Cullen, come back!
At your
Come
service.
back! Oh, I am so loving this!
Did you leave anyone behind in Kirkwall?
No. I fear I made few friends there, and my family's in Ferelden.
No one special caught your interest?
Not in Kirkwall.
Anything I should know? I'm kind of disappointed it didn't go any further than that, but oh well.
Is there anything I should know?
I'm glad to have the Chargers on our side. Bull's men are professionals, despite evidence to the contrary.
Alright, it's okay, Cullen. You can play hard to get for now.
That's all for now.
I'm sure you have other matters to attend.
Alright. I mean, in character,
service.
That's all for now.
Elle's keeping her options
I'm sure you
open
have other matters to attend.
in case, you know, Cullen doesn't seem interested. But I think he's starting to seem interested. So, she's just trying to make sure that she gets a feel for everyone. And
Maker, you're a mess. Let me have a look at you. Are you all right, my dear? Were you hurt? You look dreadful.
oh, I don't think I've ever had this scene because I don't think Vivenne has ever liked any of my Inquisitors this much. But since we're such BFFs, I've looked worse.
You should have seen me an hour ago.
We should do something about this dirt. We don't need you frightening the faithful. Let's keep up appearances. You've handled this crisis competently, saving as many lives as you did. But the enemy struck a serious blow against you and the Inquisition. We must recognize that. You must.
You're wrong. We now have a better location and far more people at our disposal. This couldn't have worked out better if I'd planned it.
Yet we can hardly
Slight
rely upon the whims
disapproves.
of Providence to give us all our victories. This defeat may have turned to our advantage, but it will not last long. Our enemy advances, Inquisitor. We must not sit idly by. Act first and teach them to fear us. I think you know what needs to be done, my dear.
Doesn't mean that they can't disagree a little bit every now and then.
Did you need something, darling?
Any chance we might.
Is there anything I can do to help your efforts at restoring the Circle?
After the Circles fell, their libraries were plundered by scavengers. 1,000 years of recorded knowledge in the hands of bandits. It makes me sick to think of it. I've received news that some tomes have been located, if you are interested in righting this wrong.
Sure, I'll find them.
I'll look into it for you.
If you can take care of this matter, the Circle would be in your debt. How may I help you?
What are your thoughts about the others in the Inquisition?
What exactly is Varric's role in the Inquisition? Aside from irritating Cassandra. How may I help you?
What are your thoughts about the others in the Inquisition?
Whether Cole is a spirit or a demon is irrelevant. Neither can be trusted, my dear. Remember that.
It's okay. You're allowed to have that
How may I help
opinion.
What are your thoughts about the others in the Inquisition?
Whether Cole is a spirit or a demon is irrelevant.
Okay.
Neither can be trusted, my dear. Remember
Alright,
that.
fair enough, Vivenne.